Are you tired of just relapsing over and over again? Like you're good for about 2 or 3 days, but then you just eventually fail. Porn now just seems to be this inescapable hell that has destroyed your confidence and absolutely eroded your relationship. It has killed your hunger to do anything in life, and it has just destroyed your mental health. Well, this is exactly where you are right now. Now think about who you could be if porn was not part of your life. Just how good would you feel to finally escape this prison? Think about how radiating with energy you would be, the amount of drive that you would have, the amount of motivation you would have to do things. You could be a star athlete, you could be some millionaire businessman, you could have a high-end career, you could be a very, very social person, the life of the party if I must say. You could turn your life as fun as a damn video game. But here you are instead, in a dimly lit room, jerking off to pixels on a screen. For those of you who are new here, my name is Jibreal Khan, and I help men quit instant gratification and become the most competent versions of themselves. In this presentation, I'm going to share tools and techniques with you that are going to take you from who you are, this porn addict, to what you could become, this really, really competent man.
The most common approach that is prescribed to someone that is addicted to porn is that, hey buddy, just don't watch porn for the next 90 days and your brain will heal and your addiction will go away. You see, the problem with this approach is that it relies on raw motivation. Like for 90 days, you are expected to walk on eggshells. You are expected to win that tug of war between your thinking brain and the addicted brain that is just begging you to watch porn. Every single day that you engage in this mental tug of war, it chips away at your motivation levels until you have none left and you relapse. Motivation is a limited resource. Get this in your head. You have fed your brain porn for 10 plus years, you have flooded it with excessive dopamine for years, and your brain now remembers this. It makes you crave it. And the truth is that you cannot fight off these cravings using raw motivation alone. If you do so, you are going to fail like you always have. This is the old paradigm of dealing with porn addiction. This is the conventional advice that you will see being offered all over the internet. It does not address this unstoppable craving and just expects you to simply push through. This is like telling an alcoholic not to drink or like telling a fat person to stop eating. You will keep relapsing with this approach, and doing the same thing over and over again while expecting different results is the definition of insanity. This is why a new approach is needed. This new paradigm is not going to require you to clench your teeth and fight your cravings each day. This new approach focuses on the elimination of the cravings. It focuses on addressing the root cause rather than just tolerating the symptoms. Like, imagine how you could instantly boost your streaks if you never felt a single craving ever again. And I know this sounds unbelievable right now, like how could you just magically switch off these cravings that you have felt for 10 plus years? But trust me, keep watching. You do not crave cocaine or some other drug like crystal meth. Why exactly is that? It's because you've never done it and your brain does not link it to high amounts of pleasure or dopamine. This is exactly how you're going to feel about pornography once you follow this approach. You're not going to crave it. It's going to be eliminated from your memory. This new paradigm has 3 main components, and I'm going to discuss each one of them in this video. I know what you're thinking. What does not eating food have to do with porn addiction? Well, this is the secret sauce that most nofap YouTubers do not talk about. When you do a fast that is decently long, then all your cravings just magically disappear. It's like someone has hit an off switch and you instantly stop craving all these artificial sources of dopamine. You do not crave porn, you do not crave smoking, you do not crave coffee. To put it simply, fasting disables the addicted regions of the brain. Now think about how profound that is. But that is not it. When most people quit porn, they start experiencing crazy withdrawal symptoms. They have mood swings, feel intense depression, hopelessness. They feel a total lack of emotion or become just too emotionally volatile. These symptoms indicate that your brain is recalibrating, it's rewiring itself. However, these symptoms can be brutal and can last for months and even years in some cases. And this is where a lot of people typically quit and they relapse and fall back into the habit of porn addiction. But what fasting does is it actually lowers the intensity of these symptoms by 90 to 95%. Also, it significantly accelerates the process of rewiring your brain. In my opinion, 30 days of fasting does the same job as 150 days without fasting in terms of healing your brain. So not only are your cravings going to be eliminated, but also the withdrawal symptoms are going to be greatly diminished, and you are going to heal your brain at a significantly faster rate. Fasting is literally a superpower that your body has. Why does it happen that someone who's porn free for 150 days or someone who has left a bad habit for months still relapses and gets back to square one?
Imagine there's a rubber band between 2 of my fingers. and I keep stretching this band, I keep stretching this band. This represents all the effort that I'm putting into changing my behaviors and habits, and eventually the band snaps back to its original place. And this original place represents your self-image. You are always brought back to who you think you are. No matter how far you stretch, no matter how much effort you make, you always snap back to your baseline self-image.
Like, I used to think all this self-image stuff is just wishy-washy pseudoscience and it is of no real value to me. But that was not true. When you think of food, you drool. When you think of a heated altercation in the past, then your muscles tense up and your heart beats faster. What goes on in your head manifests itself in your body and in your behaviors. If your self-image is that of a porn addict, then guess what? No matter how many days it has been, no matter how many protocols you follow, you are eventually going to fail. Like, your self-image was formed based on your past experiences, perhaps in your childhood or early on in your life. Perhaps it was because your parents caused you to have a poor self-image, or it was like a particularly bad teacher or your peers that said something horrible. Now, once this self-image is formed, then your body looks for all possible evidences that actually reinforce this self-image, and that self-image becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. You need to transform your self-image. From this day onwards, you are someone who does not watch porn. Porn is simply not a part of your life anymore, and it is simply something that you do not engage in. You need to work on this self-image every single day. Otherwise, you're going to eventually relapse. Let me tell you a story about the US soldiers that fought in Vietnam. The soldiers back then used heroin to cope with the stress of war, and due to this, a portion of them became heroin addicts. So the people back in the United States, they were kind of worried about what is going to happen to these soldiers once they actually returned from the war. What they found was absolutely shocking. 90% of them never touched heroin once they returned back home. They thought that heroin addiction was permanent and irreversible, but this instance changed everything. This revealed that addictions could almost miraculously dissolve if there was a radical change in the environment. In Vietnam, soldiers spent all day surrounded by triggers of heroin use. It was easy to access, they were in constant stress of war, they built friendships with other soldiers who were also heroin addicts, and they were thousands and thousands of miles away from home. But once a soldier returned to the United States, he found himself in an environment where none of these triggers were present. When the environment changed, so did the habit. Like, think of a drug user who goes to rehab. They become addicted at home or with friends, then they go to the clinic to get clean. Now this environment is free from all the stimuli that triggers their habit. Then this person returns home to their old neighborhood with all the previous stimuli that caused them to get addicted in the first place. Those same friends, that same room, and bam, he relapses. Studies show that 90% of heroin users become re-addicted once they return home from rehab. Now what does this have to do with porn addiction? Porn is a drug, and your environment has a bunch of cues that trigger the use of this drug. Perhaps there's this particular spot you sit and watch porn, or it could be a particular time, or it could be a particular situation. What you need to do is change things about your environment, and these things could be something very, very small. Perhaps get a different color of bedsheet, perhaps add a painting to your room, change the orientation of a chair, perhaps sleep with your head facing in a different direction, or sleep in a different room altogether. You need to make yourself feel like it is not an environment where you're just used to watching porn. And you would be surprised as to how few changes you have to make to your room in order to achieve this. Like, you're not going to watch porn in a library, or you're not going to jerk off in a library. There's a reason for it. The environment is extremely unfamiliar.
If you want more information regarding these protocols, like how long to fast, what to eat, when to fast, how to change your self-image, or if you're looking for more tools to help you in your battle against instant gratification, then make sure you check out the link in the description to find out more.